Welcome back to my channel, Awash Does Sports, and today we're going to be reacting to all the predictions I made through the first round of games for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Everyone's first game in each group. So without further ado, let's do it. I have my notes. Here we go. Hopefully this isn't terrible. So for the inaugural game, we had Mexico versus South Africa, a great start of the tournament, if I can say so myself. The scenes at that stadium was just incredible. Mexico scoring that early goal, the crowd going insane, Raul Jimenez getting that late goal in that game to seal it was a thing of beauty. So that game ended 2-0. And my prediction was Mexico to win 2-0. 1 for 1. Here we go. Let's go on to the next one. Now we have South Korea versus Czechia. Again, I was very for South Korea in this game. Huang scored and Bohm scored to win it late. Or actually, maybe reverse that. But I think I had the result right. I did. I said South Korea would win 2-1. I was 2 for 2 to start this World Cup. That's insane. I wish I, stayed on that pace. I would have had everything right and everyone would have loved me and followed all my predictions. But that's not how it works, okay? It's not how the world works. We look at this Canada versus Bosnia-Herzegovina game. This is where I thought Canada would win. And I think they messed up if we look at this lineup, starting Oluwaseyi instead of Kyle Larin. Let me scroll down a little bit more. Instead of starting Kyle Larin, I don't know why they did that, but yeah, not starting him, not a good idea. He ties it up late. They salvage a point, 1-1 in their first game. But I did predict Canada to win 2-1, so I lost that one. But I didn't get the result right either. They tied. My bad. So 2 things wrong on that one. I don't know where I am now. There we go. Then we're on to the USA versus Paraguay game. This one ended 4-1. I had USA beating Paraguay, so that's a half point for me. But I did have it ending 3-1. And I actually thought I got this right because as I was leaving, I was like, we're in the 90th minute already. I didn't even check till later to see that Reina scored that goal in the 98th minute of this game, the last minute of the game. But, they dominated. So I'm not too mad that I got that one wrong. But I did get the result correct in terms of USA winning. So that's 3 times I actually got the correct team to win. 2 times I got the score right. But it's going to get a little crazy here now because we have Qatar, Switzerland, and I'm just going to say it. Switzerland should have won this game. I should not have this terrible goal on me or this terrible result on me because they were dominating. If we look at their stats, they had 68% possession, 26 shots, 7 on target, 42 touches in the box. Like, they should have won this game. I still don't know how Qatar came back and tied this game. They only had 6 shots on target, 6 shots, 3 on target. Big chances missed. 1. I mean, it's just like, look at this shot chart. It's insane. Look at all these. It's all those. Like, what are we talking about? But is what it is. I can't get them all right. That was a disappointing one. I did have Switzerland winning this one 3-0, and obviously you can see it was 1-1. So I got that one wrong. Okay, I know what I see what I'm doing wrong now. We press back instead of World Cup. But Brazil, Morocco, the next game, Brazil being the not heavy favorite, but they were favored to win this one. Morocco is a very tough team to play against. They set up really well on defense, and they have the players to contend with. Vinicius Jr., or Rafinha, Neymar if he ever gets healthy. But yeah, I predicted a 1-1 draw, and we got our 1-1 draw. So I'm super happy about that. Saibari had a good game. Brahim Diaz, like these guys were fun. It was pretty even in terms of, possession, even shots. This was probably one of the most even games we're going to have at this World Cup, but especially in this first round, they were just kind of throwing blows back and forth to each other, a little sloppy at times, but hey, that's how the World Cup goes sometimes. So I did get that one. We're back on the correct predictions. But right after that, we had Scotland-Haiti, and I predicted 3-2 to Scotland. I lied. I predicted 2-1 to Scotland. Sorry. And it happened, So I did expect Haiti to throw their speed around, and while it didn't really help that much on offense, defensively, the amount of time Scotland thought they were in behind just to be outpaced by a Haitian defender was incredible to watch. I think Bellegarde has to have a better game in their next one for them to even have a shot, which, this was the game for them to get any points out of. I don't know how they're going to do against Morocco and Brazil. But even McTominay didn't play that great, but it was McGinn to really lead them in terms of, decision-making and creation. They played well, and obviously you saw the Scots fans around the United States just going insane. But yeah, for that one, I didn't get the scoreline right, but I did get the result right with Scotland winning. Now on to Australia-Turkey. Maybe one of my worst predictions. So far. I had Turkey winning 3-0. But I did call out Aaron Kunde, Kunda, I don't know why I keep on saying day, but as being a spark plug for Australia and being someone to look at. He was fun. I think with this team, you really are seeing that in this World Cup, teams are just going to stick to their style. They understand, hey, we're not going to have possession. We shouldn't even try to fight for it. We're just going to go and really just pack the box and make it as difficult as possible for these teams to score. The problem with Turkey is that they're always trying to go through the middle, and Australia was just sitting in the middle with numbers. So they could never really get clean shots. They didn't really go to the wings. They're not a good crossing, to finishing team in the air. So it was just probably a bad matchup. And I think some people had called it earlier that this might be a bad matchup for Turkey. I just thought they had too much skill, and their captain also thought that they were so much better than Australia. So hopefully he doesn't say anything in the next game for them. But yeah, I got both things wrong. Great win from Australia. And yeah, the scoreline obviously incorrect. And then we move on to the Sunday slate, where we had Germany versus Curacao. In this game, I predicted a 4-0 win for Germany. I think we all saw it. They had the lead early for Germany, but then Curacao did us all a favor and scored against Germany, and we thought, will it be possible? But as you can see by the stats, no, it was not possible. They had a lot of shots on Curaçao's goal, and Curaçao did not have a lot of shots on the other side. I think once they scored, they tried too much to go on the attack. I think the whole game, but as a smaller nation, you want to show that you're not afraid. I just think once you got that goal, you should have maybe came back and say, okay, let's try to really play defensive. Let's try to hold this till half. Let's, all those things, which is much easier said than done. But I think they might have just gotten a little bit too overconfident once they scored, and taken a little bit too many chances. But it ended up 7-1, unfortunate for them. But I did predict Germany would win. That's not really a tough prediction, as I think 99.9% of people had that. Now in this game, Japan versus Netherlands, I had Netherlands to win 2-1. But I did say keep it close because Japan is always very good. I thought they would miss not having Mitoma. He is one of their best players, but they can just sub in, it looks like, players in and out. They are more deep than I thought they were, and they all know their role, which is so beautiful to watch a team that, plays for each other, understands their strengths and their weaknesses, even though on commentary they were hating that Japan kept on trying to cross into the box because they're like, you're not going to win a header over this Netherlands team. And basically to tie the game at the end of this, none other than Kamada scored a header. So, I don't know how much he knew about it because it hit him in the back of the head or on top of his head to go in to tie the game. But, that just goes to show if you think it's a strength and you can run plays, especially on set plays, they're so important. So they figured it out. But I did not get this right. It was a 2-2 draw. There's no sense in saying I would have predicted it because I just could have. But I feel like I saw that draw coming. And I'll go with my gut next time, no matter if you guys believe me or not. The next game we have is Ivory Coast versus Ecuador. And in this game, I predicted Ivory Coast to sneak it out late. 3-2 though. Obviously it was 1-0. And let me tell you why I had this confidence in Ivory Coast. So as you can see here, they started Wahi, Pepe, Kessié, Fofana, Torre, and Diamande. And Diamande, like if you guys watched that World Cup back in, let's say 2018 when Mbappe was coming onto the scene, obviously he was good with Monaco. I think at that time he probably already went to PSG, but you were like, wow, this guy is special. And I'm telling you right now, Diamande is that caliber. This dude is so good. He was so fun to watch. He put a lot of these Ecuadorian defenders on skates. It was an amazing game. For a 1-0 win, this game felt like it had everything. So, but going back to my original point, sorry, I just saw Diamande and I said, that guy is great. And he's only 20, 19. So we're going to see him for a long time, and you'll see my top players under 25 or under 23 that I do later this week, but he's special. But when I was talking in my prediction on the YouTube Shorts, where you should watch those predictions, or on my Instagram, Awash Does Sports, where I post those predictions, I said it was a little bit interesting setup for Ivory Coast because they are the youngest team in the tournament. They were also playing the second youngest, so it doesn't really mean that much. But I said, you're not going to play Sangare or Amad Diallo, and they're on the bench. So I always thought that they were coming on late when the Ecuadorian defense is a little bit more tired. They've had a long game, to be that extra spark plug. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why they scored with Ahmad in the 90th. They had great link-up play and scored. So that paid off for starting those more veteran leaders at the start of the game to really handle the pressures at the beginning and, calm everyone down. But great win from Ivory Coast. I didn't get the scoreline right, but I did get the team winning correct. So I'm happy about that one. Next, we have Sweden, Tunisia. And for this game, I said Sweden was going to win. I think everyone did. I said 3-1. They poured it on for Tunisia. So that's also probably a reason why their coach for Tunisia got fired. But they they destroyed Tunisia. And with the possession stats even favoring Tunisia, like every time they lost the ball, it felt like Sweden was going to score. So Sweden kind of played, or, Tunisia kind of played into Sweden's hands with leaving those, front three up there with, Isak and Gyökeres, Nygren, and even, who's the player I was thinking of? I'm not sure, but they played fantastic. Ayari was the story of this game because he has a Tunisian father, but he was born in Sweden. So after his goal to open the scoring, he didn't even celebrate too much because he wanted to honor and respect the fact that his father's from Tunisia. And, he perhaps likes the country and all that. On the other side for Tunisia, I don't know where they go from here, but Hannibal was impressive. I said he was a player to watch for. I saw him at United. He's a fun player. I think at times he's just a little bit out of it, not making an impact. So in this game, you saw him. He played well, but just not enough. This Sweden team were clicking on all cylinders. It was fun to watch. But yeah, I didn't get the scoreline right, but again, got the right team to win. And then we have the Monday slate where, everyone had this call, didn't they? Spain versus Cabo Verde, as they've changed, formerly Cape Verde. I had Spain beating them 5-0. And in this game, I have to say, it was not 5-0. It was 0-0. Like, what? How did this team do this? Look at these guys, man. You want to bet Gavi, Ferran, Pedri. Like, I'm in amazement that they, obviously, unless you guys have been living under a rock, Vozinha, their goalkeeper, he went from like 50K on Instagram. He's now over, I think, 13 million. He is blowing up, and rightfully so. Just going to click in just to show you the stats. He had 7 saves in this game. They were under pressure all game long. And he rose to the task, and so did this whole team. This is what I mean with this World Cup and the added teams. And you're seeing teams that know where they sit, right? In terms of not like a FIFA rank, but just understanding like, hey, this is Spain. We're not going to play toe-to-toe with Spain. We're going to set up deep. We're going to play very good defense. We're going to play together. We're going to play for each other. And we're going to try to see if we can hold them to not scoring. They had brilliant performances, and that's what it's going to take. Like, what are you going to do? Like, okay, now let's go try to win it, which they almost did. They had this goal in the 90th minute where they almost scored. So that would have been crazy. But enough about that. I think this was incredible. This is why the World Cup is so great. This is why this expanded version is so great, because we would have never seen Cabo Verde in this World Cup because they just wouldn't have qualified. So with that being said, and then they're tying Spain. This was the best 0-0 draw in World Cup history. I'll go to say that was amazing. I predicted 5-0. I didn't get the team right. Didn't get the scoreline right, but it is what it is. In this game, honestly, Belgium, they always do this. I don't know why we expect anything different at this point. They just don't perform at the highest level in these tournaments, man. They should have won this game. Not saying Egypt played terribly, but I just think I just don't know how you lose with this Belgium team. Like Catalare, De Bruyne, Doku. Like, where was Doku? How did Doku not have a bigger impact? And to score on an own goal, like, I don't know. But hey, not much to say other than I have a different understanding of this Belgium team, and I don't think I'm going to rate them as highly going forward. Lukaku, you know, he's still there to give an impact, but yeah, I don't love this Belgium team anymore. So I got both things wrong there, the team and the scoreline. Oh my gosh, I did it again. This is going to be a long video. I'm so sorry. I'm new, but thanks for watching if you are watching. And I'll do it quicker next time. But yeah, we're on to the next game, and it's Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay. And I predicted a 2-0 Uruguay win because I thought this team, along with my boy, one of the best, Valverde, who did not show up, but he had a lot of touches, accurate passes, shots on target, but like, I don't know. I feel like this was his game to create for the team, to really lead this team. He's been at Real Madrid now for a while. Like, you have to do a little bit more in a World Cup than what he did. So I think next game, look out for Valverde to perform a lot better as the main guy on this team, you know, the main name. And Darwin Nunez, we all know what he is at this point. He's going to perform sometimes. He's not going to perform others. It just is what it is with him at this point. So not going to be too critical there. But yeah, 1-1. I said 2-0. I mean, Saudi Arabia, I mean, from that upset they had in the last World Cup against Argentina, like, these guys are still playing hard. So again, it's always good to see those first games to understand how people are going to play. But I think the Saudi Arabia team's a little bit better than I gave them credit for. And then lastly, for this day, we had Iran versus New Zealand. I really like this Iranian team. I thought they were going to win this outright. Clearly, they did not. This game actually played way more even than I thought it would, with New Zealand being the aggressor more often than not. I think watching this game, not that they were hard pressed that it was a tie. Like, I think Iran deserved a tie, but New Zealand looked very good for long stretches during this game, and I thought I wouldn't be surprised if they won. But late on, they did get the tie from Moebi. I think, who did I say to look out for? Taremi was good too. Both these teams overperformed, I would say. Chris Wood, oh my gosh, he was very good in this game with holding up the play, you know, starting breaks, holding for other runners. He played phenomenal in this game, and this guy right down here, Elijah Just, I haven't really heard of him too much before, but he had an awesome game. He played so well off Chris Wood. So I would look for that tandem to continue playing pretty good off each other in the next coming matches. But yeah, I predicted a 2-1 Iran win, and it was a 2-2 draw. So I did not get that right. And then we had the Tuesday slate where we had France versus Senegal. And for this game, I did France 2-1. And again, the last minute goals are ruining my predictions, but you know, it could have happened sooner. This France team was kind of meh in the first half. I think, you know, they were kind of surprised with how well Senegal played. The Senegal team is also very, very good. They're top three. While they're not the most clinical, the scariest opposition to go against, it's just like speed and tenacity. Like Sadio Mane, he obviously passed his prime, but this guy still is just so much fun to watch and see how he kind of like plays and just sets the tone for this team. Nicholas Jackson, yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate they don't have like an out-and-out number one striker on this team. But you know, I would even start Njai next game. I think he's that good. I've seen him a lot with Everton this year. So maybe they make that move. I like Ismail Assar. I just don't know if he's that much of a goal-scoring threat at times. I think he's like a good winger and get the ball in. So maybe try Njai up top even. I don't know. They got to change something up for the next game. But yeah, I said 2-1 win for France. They won 3-1. I didn't get the scoreline right, but I got the team right. Then here we have Norway versus Iraq. And I said a 2-1 Norway victory. I just thought there would be too much for this Iraqi team. I just didn't realize how much they will be. And this is great news for people who are neutrals. Because if you're a neutral and you can get to just look at Holland and that team and just say, hey, I just want to look at, players that are going to go off this tournament, Holland's going to go off. I think he has a lot to prove now, especially with the tops of the tops in this World Cup. Like, he hasn't been in a World Cup and it's already had all this debate about him. Mbappe, is he one of the best players in the world? All he does is score, which is, it's a weird thing to say, but he doesn't offer many other things because he's not really a target man up top, to hold and, get possession for your team. Sometimes he goes stretches of 10, 15 minutes without even touching the ball. So he's really an opportunistic striker. He's a clinical finisher, but he's not really someone who is super involved in your offense. So I think with this performance and just how dominant they were in this match, I'm excited to see if Holland can step his game up for this World Cup and just show out, because that's always fun when you see that one player. It takes moments in World Cups. There's so many even teams where you need a spark of brilliance, and this Norway team is going to be fun. So I hope they can keep it up. But yeah, I did not get 4-1. I did not think they were going to score that many goals. But that's exciting. And then in this game, I might have just been spiteful, because I picked a 1-1 draw. And that's because Algeria is usually tougher than this. But, technically, if Messi got sent off when he should have, maybe, this would have been a tie. But it is what it is. Messi scored a hat trick. I am a Ronaldo guy. But this guy is amazing, continues to be amazing. I am an Inter Miami fan as well, so I've seen his brilliance. He's still going. Good for him. Good win for Argentina to just, there's no World Cup hangover. They sometimes start slow, so nope, they were all fire still. All systems a go for Argentina, but I did get that one wrong, scoreline and the team to win. And then in this game for Austria versus Jordan, I said a 2-0 victory, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. For Austria. I actually did not get to see this game fully. I had a graduation to go to. But just looking at the stats here, it's kind of like what we predicted. Austria should have controlled this game. I don't know too many who would have thought that Jordan were going to do anything really in this game. With Zabitsa, Lamer, and Arnautovic coming off the bench. I actually thought he was going to start, but clearly he's an impact player. You always have to look out for Arnautovic. So even at 37, that's awesome though, that he played and scored. But yeah, I said 2-0 Austria. It was 3-1, but great game for them. Great start to their World Cup. And Jordan, hopefully there's just cool vibes, because I don't know where they're getting a point in that group, to be honest. And then for this match day, the final match day of round 1 of the group stage, we have Portugal versus DR Congo. And I predicted a 4-1 Portugal win, and it was a 1-1 draw. Johan Wissa scored. He's just a monster, man. Now playing for Newcastle, did it for Brentford for a long time. He just knows how to get in those situations and positions and to score goals. So really happy for them. It meant a lot. And again, this is one of those things with the World Cup, just seeing the other nations and how they react and, them following their game plan is amazing. Now on the Portugal side, they have a lot of work to do. I know a lot of people are already calling for Ronaldo's head, but if we look at it, 19 to 21% pass accuracy. He had 3 shots off target, all here. I know 2 of these were balls that really weren't to him. They were behind him, and he was trying to get the ball around him. This team, it's a lot of egos on this team, but there's a lot of talent. And I think the talent is going to prevail pretty soon. Bruno, I've seen him all season with Man U. I love Man U. He's been phenomenal. I just think they need to, I don't know. I think they need to just be like, hey, let's just win. Doesn't matter who scores, who assists, who anything. Let's play for the best result, because that they should not have lost that game. 75% possession and a 0.65 expected goals. How are you not creating more chances? That's my thing. With Ronaldo, Bruno, Leao on the bench, Joe and Net, you have way too much talent to not be creating chances. And I think they're just all kind of looking for these spectacular passes. They need to just play simple, because they will run over teams if they're just connecting with the level of Bernardo Silva, Fernandes, Neto, Neves, Vitinha, Ronaldo. You're telling me those guys can't connect each way, and Ronaldo runs here, you filter in. I think their coach has to have some tough conversations with them and being like, hey, we need to just play simple. If we play simple, you'll beat anybody. So, but I mean, hey, massive shout out to Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, he's been around for a long time. So happy for him getting his World Cup moment. He played fantastic. And Johan Wissa, amazing. But yeah, terrible result for Portugal. And obviously, I got that wrong. Then we had England versus Croatia. I said 2-0 to England. Just because I didn't really know how Tuchel was going to set them up once they took a lead. I saw Harry Kane scoring, it made sense, but usually in the past, England managers tend to just sit back once they get a lead. Tuchel was very offensive-minded, and I loved it, because they're my team I picked to win, so I'm hopeful that this continues and they play with this sort of aggression and killer mentality to just keep pushing even when you have a lead. On the defensive end, though, Maguire probably could have been used. Some other players, Gahey maybe needs to start. That backline did not look good. They kept turning over. I also don't want Bellingham playing as a DM, really, because he kept turning over back there. So they have some things to figure out, but yeah, massive result for them. Croatia on the other side, I think it's their time. The generation for Croatia has come and gone. You can't start Modric anymore, I don't think. He's just going to get bossed around in that midfield. Perisic is always good, but I don't know. There's no great player that you're fearing from this Croatian team. And even if you're a team that's not going to be as good as England to go head-to-head against Croatia, I think if you play counterattack against this team, you're going to be able to win. I don't think they're that creative on the offensive side, and I think they might struggle. But I don't think the rest of this group is going to take them out, because it's Ghana and Panama. So they will still make it through. In this Ghana and Panama game, I had them at a tie. I actually didn't get to post this on shorts, but I thought this was going to be a tie, and maybe even leaning Panama because I just don't love this Ghana team. But again, when you come to the World Cup, some teams perform, and even though they didn't have possession, they still took their chances. The first round is just teams understanding when the moment hits, you got to take that chance. And that's so exciting to see because, obviously they scored, they won the game. It was amazing. It was like the last kick of the game. We've had some spectacular endings to some of these games, but yeah, didn't get this one right, scoreline or the correct team. And then in this one, the last game of the night and of round one, Colombia versus Uzbekistan. So I didn't post this on shorts, but I did post it on my Instagram stories right before the game because again, I was away and I couldn't make a video. But I said 3-1 Colombia. I knew Colombia was going to win because this Uzbekistan team is not that great, but I don't know how I pulled that one out in terms of the scoreline. So I'm just super happy I actually did. This was the recap of the first round. The next round, I'll try to make a lot shorter. This is my current record. If we go by, you get a win for calling the correct team, and you get a win for the result. This will be it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.